Frederick Cybersecurity. Welcome. I hope you've had a good... This is Frederick Cybersecurity. I am welcoming you to the weekly roundup, which is the week ending of Friday, 17th August to 21st of August, 2026. I normally do this on a Friday, but I was caught up, as you know, and I think I appeared on Friday and I gave a good account of the previous week, which I had missed out, the AI breach report. So now I'm giving you the weekly roundup of the happenings of 17th to the 21st. So without any further delay, I would like to welcome you, and this is your intelligence summary for the week that has ended before. I have to proceed now because I have also to present the weekend intelligence brief after this, and then the AI breach report. It's going to be one hell of an evening today. So every weekday, the daily business intelligence brief delivers 3 intelligence items in a format designed for a managing director who has 5 minutes, not 50. This weekly recording steps back, pulls the 15 stories from Monday through Friday together, and asks, what did this week tell us as a whole, as a collective? The answer this week has 2 parts. The first is that outsourcing kept falling quietly. 3 of the 5 business days last week traced a breach back to a third party your business trusts by default, an outsourced IT provider, a fulfillment partner, a cloud-hosted software vendor, and in every one of those 3 cases, the failure was not a sophisticated attack. It was nobody clearly owning the basics: who patches, who watches the alerts, who gets told when something looks wrong. The second is that the AI products your staff are already using quietly became attack surfaces in their own right this week, not just tools we talk about in the abstract. 2 separate AI assistants, one from Microsoft, one from xAI, had confirmed ways to leak your data this week, triggered by nothing more than a normal-looking request. Let us go through the week. Monday, 17th August, a ransomware group and a credential broker, both working at scale. Threat intelligence. C10P's Oracle linked extortions pre-hits Shell, GE, Fiserv, dozens more. The Russia-linked C10P group claimed close to 50 companies this week that has preceded, including 89 gigabytes pulled from Shell and 13.5 gigabytes from Philips, by exploiting a suspected zero-day in Oracle e-business suite, the ERP platform a lot of mid-sized firms use to run finance and procurement. C10P does not encrypt your systems the way older ransomware groups did. It steals your data quietly and holds the theft over you. That means the first sign of compromise is often the extortion email itself, arriving after the damage is already done. If your business runs e-business suite, checking for unusual outbound data transfers and applying Oracle's emergency push patches is not a this month task, it is a this week task. The action Monday demanded: if you run Oracle e-business suite, confirm the emergency patches are applied, and review outbound data transfer logs for anything unusual in the last month. Business story: stolen employee logins expose millions of records at McDonald's, Vodafone, and others. A dark web seller began offering internal staff directories, names, emails, phone numbers lifted from at least 9 large companies, Microsoft, Azure, and Entra tenants. Here is the detail that should concern every managing director listening. This was not a new flaw in Azure. It was ordinary info-stealer malware sitting on employees' own devices, quietly harvesting login sessions. One infected laptop can hand over your entire staff directory, and it stays handed over even after the laptop is cleaned. If nobody thinks to revoke the session tokens that info stealer already store. The action: treat every info stealer detection on any device as a signal to revoke active sessions and reset credentials, not just to clean the device and move on. AI insecurity: Chinese model claims to out-hunt Western AI at finding software bugs. Zippu's new GLM 5.3 reportedly outperformed Anthropic and OpenAI's unrestricted security models at finding and confirming real vulnerabilities in software. The detail that matters for your planning, unlike its Western rivals, GLM 5.3 is due for open weight release within 2 weeks, meaning this bug hunting capability will be downloadable, not gate-kept behind an API. That cuts both ways. Your vendors will find and fix their own flaws faster, so will the people trying to break in. The action: expect faster discovery of flaws in your vendor's software from here on. Prioritize a fast, reliable patch cadence over any comfort you have taken from past patch complacency. Tuesday, 18th August, when we outsourced, it stops being an answer. Threat intelligence GeoServer 0-day exploited within hours of disclosure. A researcher publicly disclosed an unauthenticated SQL injection flow in GeoServer's filter handling on the 12th of August, and attackers began probing exposed systems within hours of that disclosure going live. Hundreds of attempts from a small pool of IP addresses. Under certain configurations, the flow escalates all the way to full remote code execution. A fix shipped on the 14th, but any GeoServer instance sitting in your environment or in your supply chain used for mapping or location data may still be exposed today. The action Tuesday demanded: confirm any GeoServer instances you or your suppliers run on the 14th of August patch, and check access logs for suspicious filter activity. Business story: we outsourced is not a defense. The Information Commissioner's Office reprimanded the UK's Criminal Records Office this week after hackers sat undetected inside its systems for 7 months. Something like the rootkit story I've talked about on the breach report of the previous week. I remember I talked about this thing on Friday. So after hackers sat undetected on a system for 7 months, exposing sensitive data on nearly 11,000 people. Here is what makes this story the one to remember from the whole week. The cause was not a novel attack technique. Accra and its IT providers had simply never clearly assigned who owned patching and who owned watching the alerts. So the warning signs sat there unwatched for 7 months. This is the same, comes back to the same thing, whereby you have to regularly audit, because when investigation starts, they do not start calculating when you reported the incident. They will start assessing the breach from when it was actually, from when it actually occurred 7 months before. So your defense would be that you are doing regular sweeps when you encountered it, but if you keep quiet and wait for the event to happen, you are in deeper soup than the stew would be if you were doing regular checkups. So any medium enterprise using third-party IT support carries exactly this same exposure unless the contract explicitly names a person or a role that owns these two jobs. The action: pull your supplier contracts this week and confirm in writing who owns patch management and who owns alert response. If the answer is not clear, that ambiguity is the actual vulnerability. So the ambiguity becomes the vulnerability, not the vulnerability becoming the ambiguity. So let's go to AI in security. Every day we do a comparison. That's my style of doing things. And when I do the daily intelligence output, I have a balance between cybersecurity, business analysis, or business intelligence, and then the AI. The AI in security, AI impacts on the security aspect. So North Korea group built an offline AI lab to stay invisible. Researchers confirmed that Kim Suki, a North Korean espionage group, is now running open source AI models on its own servers rather than public chatbots, feeding stolen documents and audio into them to speed up phishing and malware development. Running offline means none of the safety monitoring that commercial AI providers use to catch misuse ever sees what Kim Suki is doing with it. The action: treat AI-generated phishing as a baseline assumption in staff training from now on. Polished writing is no longer a reliable warning sign that something is fake. Wednesday, 19th August, the tightest deadline in weeks, and a password that bypassed everything. Threat intelligence: CISA orders emergency fix for two actively exploited Microsoft flaws. CISA added two flaws to its known exploited vulnerabilities list on the 18th of August: a Windows VPN service flaw that lets an attacker crash or hijack the underlying service, and the SharePoint weak authentication bug and gave federal agencies just 3 days to patch. That is the tightest deadline CISA has set in weeks, and the tight deadline from CISA is a direct signal of active, ongoing exploitation, not a routine advisory. Any business running on premises SharePoint or a Windows-based VPN gateway is exposed right now, not next month. The action: patch both this week, and if your SharePoint deployment is internet-facing, take it offline until the patch is confirmed, applied. Business story for the 19th or the 18th, which was, no, we're on the 19th now. That is Wednesday. Business story: hit in French tax authority, breach via stolen credentials. Attackers reached both enterprise and personal tax records at the French tax authority using compromised login credentials, not a software flaw. That is worth sitting with for a moment. A single leaked password bypassed a system that was on paper well defended. Financial services and professional services firms holding client tax or financial data specifically, this is the same failure mode behind most of this year's third-party breaches. The technology was not the weak point, the password was. The action: enforce multi-factor authentication on every single account that touches tax, payroll, or financial reporting systems. No exceptions carved out for legacy tools that don't support it yet. AI in security for the day for Wednesday of last week. Expander raises $7.5 million to govern AI agents running inside company systems. The funding round reflects a problem growing faster than most businesses have noticed. Companies are deploying AI agents faster than they can track what those agents are actually allowed to touch. Expander's approach treats each AI agent as a monitored portable workload, the same way you would treat a contractor's laptop, rather than as an automatically trusted piece of your own infrastructure. The action before approving any AI agent tool for use in your business, confirm it logs every action the agent takes, and that access can be revoked instantly if something looks wrong. So we go to Thursday, last week, 20th of August. The same names, a different campaign, and a vendor you have never heard of. Threat intelligence, C10P, that is C10P, the Russian group we heard of on Monday, the 17th. C10P names 43 plus organizations in a second separate campaign. C10P returned again with a second campaign, entirely distinct from Monday's Oracle story, this time exploiting a critical flaw in PTC's Windchill and FlexPLM product lifecycle management software. More than 43 organizations have now been named, including Shell, General Electric, Philips, and Fiserv. The same four companies that appeared in Monday's lead story. They are very familiar. I want you to be precise about this because it matters for how you read your own threat intelligence. This is a genuinely different campaign, a different vulnerability, a different attack vector, and a different category of stolen data. Monday's Oracle campaign took ERP financial data. This one took engineering blueprints, test reports, and project plans. The intellectual property that makes manufacturers, aerospace firms, and medtech companies competitive. It is not a re-narration of Monday's story wearing a new headline. But if you are one of Frederick Cybersecurity's subscribers reading both editions closely, seeing the same four company names twice in 1 week is worth understanding correctly. Two attackers or the same attacker running two unrelated campaigns found two separate doors into the same set of large enterprises. So that is not a coincidence to dismiss. It is a reminder that a company's overall attack surface is the sum of every platform it runs, not just the one you happened to patch last. So the action, if you run Windchill or FlexPLM, confirm patch status today. C10P's extortion emails go straight to hundreds of staff inboxes, not just to IT, so a delay here becomes a company-wide incident fast. The business story, hardware wallet maker Trezor breached through its shipping partner. Trezor disclosed that its fulfillment partner, ShipMonk, was breached, exposing 13,689 customers' names, emails, phone numbers, and addresses. Trezor's own systems were never touched. The exposure lived entirely inside a vendor most of Trezor's customers had never heard of. This is the third time this week that the actual story was not the target company's own defenses, but the defenses of somebody they had quietly trusted with data. The action, if you outsource shipping, billing, or customer support to any third party, ask them directly what customer data they hold and how it is protected. Do not assume the answer is the same as it was when you signed the contract. The story may be different. AI in security. Microsoft's Copilot personnel could be tricked into leaking your data from one link. Microsoft patched 3 flaws in Copilot personnel, together known as CoSnitch. That let a single crafted link silently pull data from a user's connected apps through their own live Copilot session. No further interaction required beyond the initial click. As AI assistants get deeper access into email files and calendars, a single click has quietly become a full data exfiltration vector. The action: treat AI assistant permissions exactly like a new employee's access list privilege by default, and reviewed on a regular schedule, not granted once and forgotten. Friday, 21st August, a flaw Microsoft patched for you, and one XAI says is not even real. Threat intelligence: Microsoft confirms active exploitation of a critical Entra ID flaw. CVE 20266986. Let an attacker send corrupted data to Entra ID's backend and run malicious code with no login and no user interaction at all. What is called a deserialization bug, meaning the service trusted incoming data it should have checked first, because Extra ID runs entirely in Microsoft's cloud. Microsoft has already deployed the fix centrally. You cannot patch this one yourself, and exploitation began before that fix was in place. The action: confirm with your IT provider that no unusual admin role changes or new app registrations appeared in your tenant this week, since the exploitation window opened before the fix landed. Business story: healthcare IT vendor CareCloud confirms a breach affecting 3.76 million patients. CareCloud has confirmed a breach that makes it the fifth largest healthcare data theft of the year so far. A hacker sat inside one of CareCloud's cloud environments for 6 days back in March, taking names, social security numbers, card details, and medical records. And the true scale only became public 5 months later through a regulatory filing. Interesting. That is the third vendor-side breach this week, and by some distance the most sensitive data involved. The action: if your practice or partner practice uses CareCloud or any cloud-hosted electronic health record platform, this is your prompt to ask them directly for your organization's breach notification status. Do not wait for a letter that may take months to arrive. So that is the lesson. AI in security: researchers show XAI's Grok can be tricked into leaking your chat and location. Researchers demonstrated that Grok can be tricked into leaking a user's name, location, and live chat contents to an outside server, triggered simply by asking Grok to summarize an ordinary web page. There is no patch, no CVE assigned, and XAI disputes that this is even a vulnerability at all. The action: treat any AI assistant capable of browsing the web on your staff's behalf as a data handling tool, not a convenience feature. Block or review browsing-enabled AI features internally until a vendor confirms exactly what leaves your network when that feature is used. So it seems like any AI assistant capable of browsing the web is a data handling tool, and it is not, you shouldn't treat it as a convenience feature like me using it to browse the web, doing my personal things for me. But this is a business, this is the company. So AI assistants should be blocked or reviewed. Browsing enabled AI features internally, and it's only a vendor who should confirm what leaves your network when that feature is used. So all the ones that you use should be proprietary to the company, and we shouldn't allow people to use their personal ones. So weekly synthesis, what this week told us, what last week told us. Lay the 5 days side by side and two patterns hold up under scrutiny, not just at first glance. The first is that outsourcing failed quietly on 3 separate days. Tuesday's ICO reprimand was explicitly about no body owning or patching or alert response inside an outsourced IT relationship. Thursday's treasure breach lived entirely inside a shipping partner most customers had never heard of. Friday's Care Cloud breach was a healthcare vendor's cloud environment, not the practices that trusted it. None of these three were sophisticated attacks. Every one of them was a basic ownership question that nobody had answered in writing. The second pattern that the AI products your own staff already use quietly became the attack surface this week. Not just a topic we discuss in the abstract. Thursday's Copilot Personal Flow and Friday's Grok leak both moved AI assistants from productivity tool to a thing that can leak your data from one ordinary looking click, and they did it in the same week that Monday and Tuesday's stories showed increasingly capable AI models proliferating into open release in the hands of both defenders and attackers. Put these two patterns together and the shape of the week becomes clear. The businesses that had a bad week were not the ones facing a brilliant novel attacker. They were the ones with an unanswered ownership question sitting inside a vendor contract or an AI tool granted access nobody had reviewed since the day it was switched on. 3 actions last week demanded. Action 1, confirm patch status this week on every flow named in this recording that touches your own environment directly. Oracle eBusiness Suite if you run it in your business. The SharePoint and Windows VPN flows CISA gave a 3-day deadline for. GeoServer if it sits anywhere in your stack. And Windchill or FlexPLM if your business runs product lifecycle management software. Ask your IT provider for confirmation in writing, not a verbal assurance. Action 2, audit every IT tool your business currently has connected to email, files, calendars, or web browsing, and apply least privilege access to each one this week. Copilot Personal and Grok both showed that a single ordinary looking request can become a data leak when an AI assistant's permissions were never reviewed after the day they were switched on. Action 3, this is the governance action, and it is the one most likely to prevent next week's version of this same story or the next week's tragedy. Pull the contract for every third party who touches your data, IT support, fulfillment, billing, cloud-hosted software, and confirm in writing exactly who owns patch management and who owns alert response for each one. If nobody can answer that question for a given vendor by Monday, treat that gap itself as this week's most urgent open risk. So that is the intelligence picture for the week of the 17th to the 21st of August. I'm Frederick Wakuliaka. This has been the Frederick Cybersecurity Weekly Business Intelligence Brief, the roundup that turns 15 daily stories into the 3 decisions your organization needs to take before next Monday. The Daily Business Intelligence Brief publishes every weekday morning on LinkedIn. The AI Breach Report publishes every Wednesday and Friday, and Issues of the Day, the Weekend Intelligence Brief, publishes every Saturday morning. Subscribe to all 3. And my YouTube channel is at Frederick Wakuliaka 4561. Subscribe to that. If this recording has been useful, share it with the one person who carries security responsibility without a dedicated security team. This is exactly who this is built for. Thank you for listening. I'll be back again with in half an hour. I'm going to come back with the Weekend Intelligence Brief, so stay tuned.